Look, the cost of living crisis is a real thing, even though wages are starting to move pleasingly. And we can't ignore that these employment figures in some ways hide the impact that persistently high inflation is taking on Australians. Resolve Strategic's latest survey showed that 48% of Australians, so almost half the country, now say that the cost of living and bringing it down should be the highest priority of the federal government. Just in January of last year, that figure was 16%. Stephen, there's lots of policy decisions that are taken by government that affect inflation. Labor's climate policy pumps up the price of energy and of transporting goods like food to market. Failure to deal with housing shortages causes a rise in the cost of homes and rent. Government spending levels directly impact inflation. Every move this government makes around IR seems to be about making it more expensive to do business. Do you think Chalmers needs to do more than just leave inflation concerns to the Reserve Bank's to-do list?
Well, look, firstly, I think you just got to take that bits of paper up on your desk there and the Liberal Party speaking points and just put them back in the drawer, OK? Because I don't accept a single thing you said. Not one. I'm sorry. You've got to stop reading out Peter Dutton's talking points.
You're not,
tragically, and I'll be very clear, tragically, you are not in the Senate. So, energy policy. The rises in energy prices are still being caused by policy decisions taken under the government that you were part of. So I'm sorry to put you in the frame here, Amanda. The power stations announced they were closing down on your watch, on Matt Canavan's watch. All the impacts on energy prices are still flowing from decisions taken by yourself, coupled with international events like the Ukraine war. So the price of energy. Now, going forward, sorry, it's 12 months.
Yes, you can.
12 whole months since we were elected. And policy decisions taken by this government have only just started being legislated recently. So they can't be what's driving the prices. I'm happy to accept in 2 years' time, as if these are still the big issues, that Labor has a responsibility. But for today, you've got more responsibility than Jim Chalmers on energy prices. And as for the other list, I could go through all of those as well.
A whole range. So, Stephen, there's a whole
range
of policy areas.
Give me your second one. What was the second one?
Just there's housing, there's IR, there's even government spending levels.
IR.
All of these things. All of these things directly affect.
We just put the budget. We have just put the budget
Stephen, this isn't a partisan
the black.
Point. These are things that actively. These things are matters that actively impact inflation. All I'm saying is, should Chalmers be doing something about them? Maybe we can move to you, Michael.
So you want wages to go up, but it's bad for the country. I'm struggling to follow your logic, Amanda.
No.
You can't say you want to see wage rises and then say wage rises are bad because they're causing inflation. Pick your poison. I don't mind which one you want to pick, but you can't have it both ways.
Stephen, but verbling will never do you good. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance between wages and inflation. And I don't think it's controversial to say that's out of whack. Now, let's go to you, Michael. This, I'm sure, is something on which you'll have plenty to say. But look at this graph from Senator Matt Canavan today. You can see just how much power bills have increased over the last year. Does this demand a policy response that's directed at cost rather than just carbon?
Well, of course, and supply is everything in this situation. And what I don't think is a Labor government has, with the greatest respect to the great Chris Bowen, I don't really think these people who've never had a job in the private sector, who've never run a business, who've never risked capital, have never mortgaged their house to invest and take risk, they have no idea whatsoever of how a major corporation has to, on a board of a major company, the risks they have to take in looking at projects that are years and years and years down the track with so many unknowns. I don't think they have a nodding acquaintance with the challenges faced by the big energy companies in making decisions to open mines, pursue approvals, etc., etc. I mean, we saw the I think was it 4,000 approvals needed for Red Hill. So I really don't rate Labor in this field at all. They have no experience. Everything that they're doing is learning on the job, and this is not something for on-the-job training from people who've never invested money. So do I think they understand the energy companies? No, I don't think they have any idea at all.
Look, I love Matt, Amanda. I think Matt's a fabulous human being. He's a friend. I played soccer against him last Wednesday, and you know he's definitely improving from 7 years ago when I last played him. But let's be clear, Matt's solution was to build a coal-fired power station. Now, while he was both an open, active backbencher, a cabinet minister in charge of the policy and the funds to deliver it, he failed to deliver this because his policy solution to a Liberal Party created closing of Liddell failed. It failed inside his own party room. You were part of that party room. Do you support, Michael, a coal-fired power station to be built? Amanda, do you?
Actually, Stephen, it failed in the Senate. It failed in the Senate by a coalition of the Greens and Labor.